When you buy your first Airbnb, you may be thinking that you're cutting costs in terms of your renovation choices. I certainly thought I was doing the same, but you could just be creating headaches for your guests. You could be draining your profits, and you could be just learning some painful lessons along the way. So here in this video, I'm going to talk to you guys about three renovation mistakes I will never make ever again. And you do very well if you follow along. So in each of these mistakes, I'm going to tell you what the actual choice was. Like, why did I choose to do this thing? What the problem was with that choice. And finally, how I would fix it. So in terms of the first thing, let me just call it the mini split nightmare. It has to do with air conditioning. What happened was I decided to save money up front. It would be a much easier installation. So when it comes to mini splits, I didn't want to open up walls or do things like that. I just wanted one external condenser, and then up along, I had a 3 or 4 floor property. You just punch holes in the walls, but they're very small holes. So rather than rip through flooring and having ducts all over the house and it costing a bit more money, I thought I can save money by doing this. Seems smart up front, save money up front, but the problem was that there's no centralized thermostat. And so guests don't know what they're doing. If there's a long-term tenant, that's fine. But short-term tenants, they're not there that long. And by the time they fix and figure out what to do, they're pretty much leaving the property. So a guest would go into one room, have a remote control, put it on cold. Another guest would go into the other room, put it on hot. It can't work like that. There's only one system. So again, in the hot months, it would be the big, big problem because when you're trying to cool the house down, they wouldn't know what they're doing. So they get inconsistent temperatures. It was just so uncomfortable for the guests. Lots of headaches and extra maintenance. The fix would have just been to have ducts right from the get-go, right? Just have your centralized air conditioning system. Much less headaches, much less maintenance, and wouldn't have created all that problem right from the start. Now, above and beyond the air conditioning system, a second thing that I should have done better right from the start, I skipped the insulation. I know. But the reason I did this was mainly just to save costs up front. I did not want to start opening up even more walls. I was getting into a cosmetic fixer-upper. So that's one where, you're just putting paint, you're putting flooring in, some countertops. That's really it. Apart from the air conditioning, which yeah, it's a system, okay, sure. But with the insulation aspect, it was almost like a person with no hat on their head. And it gets really cold, right, in the winter time, and there's no hat on their head. So all the heat would escape through the attic. There was no insulation in the walls either. So in the winter time, the heating was on constantly, running constantly. And of course, I was on the hook for the bill. It's a short-term rental, right? So you pay all the utilities. And in the summertime, the air conditioning, especially up high, right? They're going to be on the whole time, blowing, blowing, blowing. And the temperature was just uncomfortable. So that was the problem, right? In terms of not insulating it. The solution would have just been to start the right way, right? Because for 2 summers, I let it go and it ended up costing only $1,000 or $2,000 to fix this. Saved it massively. So I just did some blow-in insulation in the attic, insulate some of the knee walls, and you're good to go. Massive cut in the costs in terms of the energy costs and a much better guest experience. Now, finally, the third thing that I should have done, and this is one of the ones I'm on the fence about, this is to do with flooring. So I kind of overpaid for the flooring. Look, I loved the luxury laminate and the vinyl for the wet areas. So the vinyl you'd use, let's say, in the kitchens, bathrooms, mudrooms, utility rooms where there's water because it's waterproof, and the laminate elsewhere. 40-year guarantee, nothing goes wrong. But it ended up costing the best part of $10,000. Now, I had a 1917 home, and it was all hardwood floors. Some people are crying out today to get that kind of quality, and all I had to do, if I was smart about it, was to refinish the floors, sand the floors, varnish the floors. And I could have done it for 1/3 of the cost, more like $3,000. So there you have it. I should have done it, but I didn't. I was trying to kind of go a little bit more. And if I saved the costs just in that one thing in terms of flooring, I could have used that money to upgrade the air conditioning system and to upgrade the insulation, not to have the first two problems. So the other thing was the guests don't even notice that it's luxury laminate as opposed to hard. So they're not going to pay even more. So Really, with short-term rental, every single dollar counts. You can make mistakes up front by cutting the wrong corners, right? It might seem like you're saving money, but it can cost you in the long run. And speaking of which, I've created a free short-term rental starter kit. It's a guide that you can click download to click below, totally free, and it helps you launch and find your first profitable rental. Helps you to automate it and also guide you through some of the little mistakes like that, the renovation things that I had an issue with a lot more stuff there as well. And it's totally free, packed full of value, everything I wish I actually had when I first started. So let's build wealth one property at a time. And I'll see you in the next one.